meme of the century. But at any rate, man, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Joe. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So let's begin our conversation before we get into your good work by asking you this. I know we're getting tired of COVID, but that pandemic era was a big deal for all of us. There were so many changes. How did you survive it, and how has it influenced the way that you do things now?
So COVID was a massive inflection point for me to start my journey, actually, because I was in corporate sales at the time. So I was not an entrepreneur when COVID was around.
Yeah.
And I was in corporate sales. I went from outside to inside sales. And when everybody made that transition in the company, we were also selling to small businesses. So as you can imagine, our target audience was shot, right? People were trying to survive. And a lot of variables happened during that period of the pandemic that really woke up my mind to starting my own business. So I really do have COVID to thank for making that drastic change in my life to wanting to become an entrepreneur as opposed to just following the system route of corporate America.
So yeah, and I get that. I mean, there's almost a level of buyer's remorse with people where it's like, well, I don't want to say it, but it was a really good time for me to be reflective. But it
Totally.
it really was because everything's going so fast. You're just in the mode. We're creature comforts. But when you have that moment to look in the mirror, then you start realizing what you want to do with the rest of your life.
And that's applicable to any uncomfortable moment that we
Yep.
don't want to go through. And then on the flip side of that, after we go through it, we're always grateful. We're always like, wow, that was very insightful, enlightening. You always gain, there's always a silver lining
Yeah.
to something that is very uncomfortable. I agree.
So speaking of silver linings, you're in the business of helping people get to that point. So I want to know right now in 2024, if I
Mhm.
put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day and one of the kids said, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your
Yeah.
answer?
I would say I build brands and I coach people. I have two companies. I'm an online coach and I also build brands for professional athletes and people in the e-com world. So I would say I'm a brand builder and an online coach. So if you want to start a business, you want to grow your life, I can coach you there or I can help you with the brand.
So what did you want to be in the third grade when you were young? What was your dream?
That's a great question. I want to be a professional athlete.
Okay.
I want to be on the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did we get here? Take me back to where you were born and raised. You talked a little bit about your family dynamic, but how are these seeds of being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur and working with high profile people to brand
Mhm.
things? How did all of that evolve into you today?
Yeah, let me bring it to you in the most concise way possible, just because this could be a full day story, my life story. But I was very keen on baseball. Like I said, I wanted to go professional, and I was quite talented at that. But what happened was in the beginning of high school, throughout my junior year, I developed hypothyroidism. So that's thyroid disease where your thyroid is underproducing,
Yeah.
underfunctioning. And that affects your hormones, your cognitive functioning at basically every facet of your body. And because of that, and it was gradual, I went undiagnosed for years. And it really affected my mindset, my play. Of course, everything tanked because I was fatigued, I was tired all the time. Those are symptoms of hypothyroidism. And when I finally got diagnosed in the junior, senior year, I got on medication. I started to feel healthy again. My play had tanked so much. I was looking at D2 options, and that wasn't really where I wanted to go. I didn't really want to battle that out. So I said, I'm going to go to business school. I'm going to pursue business to provide and have a better future, essentially. So I went ASU Business School for sales and business management. I wanted to go into sales. That's kind of all I knew, right? I didn't have the scope of owning my own business at this point. I
Yeah.
just knew that I can make money with sales, high paying salary, simple enough for me, right? I had a very limited perspective. So I went the corporate route of sales. Just being in the 9 to 5 is what actually opened my eyes to the other route. It really opened my eyes to, do I want this to be my work environment, my life for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
The politics, the bureaucracy, the favoritism, the culture, the micromanage. There was a lot of things beyond financial that I really disagreed with. And you don't know until you're in it, right? That was my first experience in the corporate world. So I jumped in and not knowing anything. And I was very, very surprised at how it's actually run. And from that level of discomfort, we talked about that, right? Like from that level of pain is where I really started to open my mind to how else can I make a living? How else can I live my life and make an impact that is more suited for the environment I want to be in? And that really started my journey on starting my first brand, creating Phantom, being an online coach, and everything's been a domino effect from there.
So who's been a hero? Who's been an inspiration on this journey for you?
I really admire my parents. They both grew up. My mother's from Colombia. My father's side is from Italy. So they're both, in a way, immigrant families.
Yeah.
They both came here. They've both worked very hard. They never have a victim mindset. They've always pushed me and inspired me to go after things and take the world by storm. And they genuinely have the best interest for me. There's obviously a lot of people that I admire that I have no idea who they are, right? Like Elon Musk and people that have just accomplished extraordinary things that are beyond my comprehension and really pushed me. But in terms of proximity, my parents are definitely people close to me that I feel a deep sense of support and admiration for just everything they've been through.
The one thing is very you know very well being a coach is that we learn so much about being around people that we admire and soaking up who they are. If you could meet one person alive on the planet that you find inspirational, that does it the right way, ask him questions, be around him, who would it be?
Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
I would love to meet Tony Robbins. He's more or less the pinnacle of personal development and coaching. Like
yeah,
he has people walking on fire. He has people completely shattering their perception of themselves, of reality, of all their limiting beliefs in a 2-day workshop.
yeah.
His work, how he's able to communicate, how he's able to resonate with a large group of people is astounding. It's so admirable. It's incredible. What he's accomplished is genuinely insane. So Tony Robbins by far.
You know, when I was a kid, he always was on infomercials. He was always that
Mhm.
guy. And you think these people are going to fade away. This dude's just been around and got more powerful. There was a thing on Instagram the other day when Quincy Jones passed, and he was at his house eating food. And it was just so weird to see him at a table eating a meal because you just see him on stage and he's getting everybody fired up and he's just moving. But when you see people like that do regular life things, it's like, wait, hold on. Tony Robbins is having a burrito here with Quincy Jones. What a weird thing. But it's like it just proves the point that we're all human. I mean, everybody's just living a human existence, but he's just doing it in a more magnanimous way.
And he's a massive guy, right?
Yeah.
He's ginormous. He
Yeah.
had that growth spurt issue with his health. So he genuinely is like a larger than life figure for a
Uh-huh.
lot of people because not only is he physically massive, but he's so energetic and he can really light up a room that seeing them as human beings is almost hard to do sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is the motivation for someone like Tony Robbins? You know, this guy has a routine and there's so much that motivates him. But what is that for you that gets you up every day? Because you don't just go to a job like you did before. You're literally doing something that you have to give a lot of yourself. And you also have to evolve as a human being yourself. So, what's that collective gumption for you every day?
I would say my why is a fear of wasting my potential. I feel like I was given a lot just innately as a human being born in America. There's all these things that a lot of people take for granted that I want to be conscious of and grateful for. And knowing that, knowing how lucky I was in the realm of the world and how bad it could have been, I don't want to waste my potential. I think that is horrifying. And I also think it's disrespectful to God. I'm a Christian. So I think wasting my life being a bum, being lazy, not inspiring people, not helping the world when I can and when I'm capable is disgusting, to be frank. So that level of this is absolutely not how I'm going to live my life is my why to working hard, coaching people, inspiring people, getting them excited, all of that.
So, in your life, when you look at your timeline of evolution from the beginnings to your life as an entrepreneur now, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
It all had to do with my inner game, my mindset. When I learned, and Tony says this as well, but 80% of success is the inner game. And really going deep on that and really uncovering your limiting beliefs, your subconscious mind, and just replacing them with new beliefs that are actually empowering you. Because everybody gets programmed, right? Whether we program ourselves or society programs us, we're getting programmed.
Yeah,
And if we can be conscious and have awareness around that, there's no realm we can't go into. There's no
yeah,
industry we can't go in. There's nothing we can't do if we conquer our mind first. So
yes.
that is the most applicable advice I've ever received because it doesn't matter who you are, what you want to do. Everything starts with you. Everything starts with how you see the world and how you see yourself and how you react to things. So I would say that is foundational and monumental to every aspect of life.
So, I'm going to stay in youth for a minute here. If you have a dream tonight ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained along the way, what advice would you impart?
Party less, cherish your time more, focus on the longer vision, have a longer perspective, time horizon on the things you want to do. Don't waste your time and really focus and learn on the things I just mentioned, the subconscious mind, the inner game, because then you have so much autonomy to go into any aspect you want when you know how to make decisions, when you're not, you know, burdened by all of these limiting beliefs. You have freedom. You can move how you want to move. And I really think that's so, so important. And that's more or less what I would say to them.
So on your entrepreneurial journey right now, you want results for your clients. You
Yes.
want to push yourself. What has been one of the moments or one of the clients or one of the situations that you've grown the most? Maybe it was difficult, but at the end you were like, wow, that was huge.
I would say a really key aspect is radical responsibility, where if I'm coaching somebody, and I coach people in the e-com world and also the service-based business world, but we also go into personal development because, again, it's all intertwined. What I found the most important, like I have an example. I have a client of mine, after 3 months of working with me, he's about a couple weeks out from leaving his 9 to 5. He was juggling a business and his day job, and now he's finally able to make that leap and make that jump, have a lot of his time back, be a lot more fulfilled. And what I would say is very important to getting those kind of results is the level of accountability that we instill on the people we're coaching
Yeah.
and being completely forefront with them. I do not want to be a cheerleader. Like a cheerleader gets us nowhere. I need to be honest with them. Like these are where you're lacking. We need to get better now.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for you to take action now. And another thing I've really noticed that really helps is tailoring the approach to the person I'm coaching because we're not all built different either, right? Different people are going to react to different things. If I had that level of conversation with, say, another client, they might break down. They might retreat, right? So having the awareness to understand who am I dealing with, how can I get the most out of them and actually get those tangible results is where I think the magic sauce is.
So of everything that you've done up to this point in your life, what are you the proudest of?
The coaching aspect, because I genuinely create a lasting impact on the people that I coach. And I've had people that I've coached say I've changed their life and how they see the world forever. That is pretty impactful. And if I can have that ripple effect, because then every single client goes and tells other people and tells other, it's a domino effect, right? It's really limitless in the impact you can have when you focus on one person at a time. And if I'm able to have that impact for the betterment of society and people are feeling more empowered and they're feeling more ambitious and they're going after the things they want to go after because something I said to them or some of the work we've done, that's a fantastic feeling. Because a lot of people cower in their fear. And a lot of people have a lot of limiting beliefs. They never take action. They never go after the things they want and they live a life of regret. And I think
Yeah.
that's awful.
Well, yeah, what Mark Twain said that he didn't regret things that he did with his life. He regretted what he didn't actually do. And that's the big thing. That's the caveat. Uh,
Exactly.
so let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that's known you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
That's a great, great question. And I think how you identify is very, very important and tied to the life you live. I consciously identify and have the belief system that I am the things that I want to be. I make it a choice, my identity. So a winner, ambitious, hard worker, gracious, I refuse to identify as anything in a negative light because how you see yourself is how you're going to behave, right? For example, I know Tony talks about this too. If you identify as a smoker, you're never going to quit. You might try to quit here and there, but if you say you're a smoker, you're
Yeah.
never going to quit. You need to flip that on its head and identify as a non-smoker that is smoking. So I'm very, very, very conscious of who I identify as because that is ultimately going to be that subconscious blueprint of my actions, my thoughts, my beliefs.
Yeah. So you're steamrolling in this life as an entrepreneur now. Let's say we talk in 10 years from now. Where do you want this to go?
I would love to be doing public speaking. I would love to be helping more people on a greater scale, having a bigger platform, and having more of an impact with telling people what I've gone through to help them. Right. I've gone through a lot of things outside of business as well, like chronic illness, the thyroid thing. And if I can tell people how I've gone through, how I've changed my life, and by default change theirs on a greater scale, I'll be very fulfilled. I'll be very fulfilled.
So we get off this call, a time machine pulls up. You can go anywhere in the history of Major League Baseball and see one game. Where are you going?
This might be controversial, but I would want to see who's the Giants. Why is the name not coming to me? The Giants all-time leader.
of
Home
for
runs
oh
for home runs. What's his name?
why am I blanking
What
out
the
on it now?
heck?
I might have to Google it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold that thought. Mays, Willie Mays.
No, 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 the all-time home run leader.
Oh,
What's his
are you talking
name?
to Bonds?
Bonds, Barry
Okay, all
Bonds.
right, I got you.
Yes,
Yeah,
Barry Bonds. That's why I said it might be controversial.
yeah,
But
right.
I would love to see the game where he crossed over Hank Aaron because I used to watch a lot of film as a baseball player. And watching that at bat was one of the pieces of film that I absolutely loved watching.
It was
His swing was
Gonzo.
just so beautiful. It's
It
so beautiful.
and the crowd. I remember that time in
It was
'98
so electric. Yeah.
when Sosa and McGuire and Bonds they were doing all that. And I know there's controversy, but the amount of people, the amount of excitement that was going down was
Yes.
completely crazy, man.
It
You
was
know?
incredible. I would
Yeah,
have loved to see him cross that.
yeah.
Love to see him cross that.
So my dad was born in Brooklyn and raised in Long Island, and the
Okay.
family came from Italy. So I was
Oh,
always
nice.
yeah, so I was always a Mets fan. So I would go back and see that ball go underneath Billy Buckner's legs in '86 at Game 6.
Oh.
Dude, that would
That's
be
a good
it.
one. That's
I
a
mean,
good one.
is that place, Vin Scully's call, the whole thing, take me right there. I'll be in. So
That visual is ingrained in my mind forever too. You see it
yeah.
one time, you never forget it.
That's it. It's like that's the moment right there.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Bonds, because I remember, because I think his kid was there and he threw that bat and that place, the
it
camera was
was
just
insane.
crazy, totally
Yeah, it
crazy.
was insane.
So we had to end on a high note, but let's get to the good business. If anybody wants to hire you, reach out, consult any of the good business in your world, where can they go?
JaredJennings.com is my website for coaching, my personal branding website, and then every platform, Jared Jennings, you will find me there.
Okay. Jared, this has been wonderful, man. Thank you. I'm so glad we ran into each other. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.